You're aware of this. It's questions that have been put to you many times, those who castigate on the promises, even made in the first term, that you think you performed much better, whether it's in the digital literacy that transformed from the laptops that were initially promised, and many other, the favorites, the stadiums as well. We've seen all of that. And so at this point to be talking about you're there, you do not think you're delivering, the government is operating as it should, and the handshake has pretty much come and derailed the agenda. The question has been put to you before, and I'll read to you something here. A resignation letter, April 14th, 1966, by Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, writing to the then President Jomo Kenyatta. This is what he said: "You have not given any consideration to me as your number 2 in state matters. I have a conscience, and this in fact does prick me, and I earn public money, but with no job to do. I consider this a waste of public money, and I am worried lest the future generation questions why my sincerity, when they would learn that I allowed myself to hold a sinecure post in the midst of poverty and misery in our country. With this realization, I cannot continue to hold this position any longer, and I hereby tender my resignation. Signed, Oginga Odinga."
That is the difference between Oginga Odinga and William RUTO.
What is the difference? On principle, wouldn't you consider that at this point, we're on state matters?
That is the choice that Oginga Odinga made for reasons best known to him.
Doesn't your conscience prick you?
It does. I have a conscience. I have told you, there is no responsibility that has been assigned to me that I have not discharged. There is no responsibility in the law, whether it is chairing IBEC, whether it is attending cabinet, that is my legal or constitutional responsibility that I have not discharged. And aside from the things that the president can assign me, I have things that I can do. You know, I am not obsessed with you know, what you can do to show that you have power or you have a position, right? I still do many things. Last weekend, why not for Corona, I was in West Pokot. I was opening a technical training college and speaking to people about the importance of them getting their children to be trained. I went to deliver a bus in a school, encourage the students there. I went to participate in a peace meeting where reformed warriors were being initiated from being cattle rustlers to being business people. So I have sufficient latitude to deploy my office to play. I mean, do you consider a peace meeting, Sophia, where we are encouraging warriors who've been stealing cattle to leave that and be businessmen? Do you consider that a campaign? Do you consider a delivery of a bus to a school to enable the school do better? Do you consider going to a technical training college and encouraging people? Do you consider that campaign?
But to the extent of that, the mandate that the Kenyan people gave you in the Constitution is principal assistant to the president.
Correct.
You are currently not principally assisting him. You are, the chief can do the roles you're talking about. The local leaders can do those roles you talk about, so they are important. It's not in any way to say they're not, but they can be done by other leaders. To the extent that the mandate was for RUTO support Uhuru, the president that have been elected on this ticket, and that's not happening. Isn't it the prudent thing to say, if this thing is broken and is not working, then if matters...
Maybe, Sophia, when you're blessed and one day you become deputy president, maybe you can make that decision.
But you do not think you can resign?
For William RUTO, I have chosen to make a different decision. I believe that I can still use the latitude given to this office to do more for Kenyans or other things for Kenyans Are you telling, would you tell the president, for example, he was in Nyanza the other week, opening a road. Would you have told him, why have you gone to open the road? You should be in Nairobi doing something. It's not important to open the road. It can be done by a chief. Would you tell him that? I don't think so. It is important, you know, to rally people, because part of leadership is getting people to understand where government is going, what government is doing, how is it important, how is it necessary, why do we need to stop cattle rustling, how do we mainstream them into doing business. That's part of what government is supposed to do.
So this is then, Sophia, Deputy President, like a marriage, that things have really degenerated. Mom and dad have fallen out, but they say to just stay there, and all in the name of the kids. No, is that what you're telling me, sir?
Sophia, I have told you this, right? The president is doing his constitutional duties in as far as the Constitution is concerned. The deputy president has not violated any law or any article of the Constitution for him to warrant a resignation or whatever else. So, I mean, if it is working, why do you want to fix it?
So how long do you stay in something that's not working?
Sophia, I think you just better leave it.
We just leave it. That you're here to stay. Kama mbaya, tunashikilia serikali, UDA, Jubilee, all of them together. So balancing act, that one, isn't it?
Let me tell you that I painstakingly, with millions of other people, assembled this government by our own sweat and hands. Yeah, I think it would be the biggest act of betrayal if I were to walk away from 8 million Kenyans who voted for us.
But you're not doing what they voted for you to do, to principally assist the president. So then,
have they complained to you, Sophia?
That is the mandate they gave you.
They have not complained. Kenyans are happy with what I'm doing.
How do you know? Have they told you?
Of course they have told you.
Those are the fans.
No,
there are some out there who perhaps would be wishing to come in here and say,